Find all the zeros of f of x is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now what we're going to do is we're going to factor it into its factors, and then from those we can figure out the zeros of this function. But to start, we have to find one zero, and then we can do that first factorization, and then the rest will come easier. So to do this, we're going to plug in values that are a factor of the constant term. Now, technically, it's the constant divided by the leading term, but the leading term is just 1. So in other words, we can plug in 1 or -1, 2 or -2, 4 or -4, or 8 or -8. It's easy and typical to start with 1 and -1, and actually I plugged in 1. And what we're trying to do is, if you plug in a number and it makes it equal to 0, right? That's the definition of a 0. It's a value that makes the function value equal to 0. And so I plugged in 1, and actually that's happened to be equal to 0. You can easily check because it's just the coefficients when you plug in 1, and it actually became 0. So that means x minus 1 is a factor. Now, if you're wondering why that is, I can show you a little later, but first what we're going to do is we're going to divide by x minus 1. In other words, we're going to factor it out of this polynomial, and I'm going to do that using synthetic division. So I'm going to take the coefficients here, bring them down into the front, and this is x minus 1. So like the value you plug in, you put over on the left, you bring down the number, multiply it, add, multiply again, put it here, add, multiply again, put it here, and then you get 0. You should get 0 at the end, otherwise you made a mistake. And so x minus 1 is a factor, so I factored it out, and the remaining answer is x. So these are the coefficients: x squared, 1x squared, minus 2x, minus 8. And you can see one of the reasons why this is equivalent to the original is because I plugged in 1 and I got 0 at the end. And if I plug in 1 to here, it becomes 1 minus 1, that's 0. 0 times anything is 0, and so I will get a 0. F of 1 equals 0. And then the quadratic, I'm not going to go into too much details of factoring quadratics, but you'll get x minus 4 times x plus 2, right? The two constants here have to multiply to -8 and add to -2. And so now it's fully factored, and you can see what values of x would make make f of x equal to 0. You can kind of just, we found 1, that's a 0. But you're going to see 4 and -2 are also zeros, and that's because if you set these expressions equal to 0 and solve for x, you'll get 4 and -2. And also you can kind of just see it intuitively if you just see, okay, if I plug in -2, it'll be -2 plus 2, that's 0, and then 0 times anything is 0, and so the whole thing is 0. And so your three zeros are 1, 4, and -2.